just don't let me catch you in season 2.
I know. You better not hurt him. You better not hurt him. Well, this isn't your first video game. We cannot forget about Journey to the Center of Hawkthorne from Community.
Oh my gosh, you put that together. Oh, you're too much. Our little Pac-Man-esque Community version. Oh, yeah, that's so sharp of you. I completely missed that. No, it's not my first go around then. I'm a pro. I'm certainly a pro after playing Anton Castillo in Far Cry 6. It's certainly changed the game, and the technology used and the way it's done really taught me a new skill.
Yeah, slightly improved likeness, I would say.
Yeah, I know. I hated my likeness in Community.
Did you?
Blockhead person. Didn't look anything like me.
Now I'll have that crystal.
So there is a lot of hype and speculation going on about you possibly being in Far Cry 6.
I play El Presidente Anton Castillo, who is the dictator of a very small Caribbean island, trying to remain autonomous from other countries who would like to take and probably exploit their natural resources. Anton is a father of a son who he's grooming to take over for him after whatever happens with his success or failure in trying to put down a revolutionary force who wants to take over his country. So you meet Anton in a very stressful place in his existence, trying to empower his people to still trust him and trust that his vision to return Yada to its former glory.
What was it like when you saw the kind of final for the first time?
I argued that they were fooling me. That's really how I felt. I looked at it and it was so very realistic, almost super real, and I couldn't determine whatsoever that they built me. And I told my representation, I said, that's not, no, they didn't build me, that's me. So I'm quite amazed at what they can do.
Have you gotten to play at all?
I played a little bit while I was there in between shooting. I'm so bad, but they started to show me how it works. Mm-hmm. And they promised me that when I go back up to be with them again, because I want to play this game and learn how to really be a gamer through this game, one that I've had the honor to appear in. I think it's also, technologically, I'll just say, games take a long time to develop. So expect that there are new and wonderful visual ideas that are brought to this game that I think will be the aesthetic will be very pleasing to the audience.
So you did motion capture for this. What would you say the biggest challenge was for you being in that role?
I had to always remind myself that even though I don't have this button to touch or unbutton, because the motion capture suit doesn't have that button is still there, that belt is still on, that my physicality is still royal and regal, that I go through time as Anton experiencing physically what he will experience in the piece, which allows our viewer, our player, to experience it. So that's a different feeling, and that's a different allowance of someone else into your journey. Again, on a multi-layered level. So physicality, the idea of placing things in the room that aren't there, and allowing those things to have an effect on you. That was probably a very large challenge as well.
Right, it's like improv, or like you said, theater, where you're like, yep, here's the phone.
That's exactly it. And so all day in shooting with such great support from this great team, in Toronto, I would remind myself that if you believe it, they will believe it. Mm-hmm. If you believe it, they'll believe it.
It's like the exact opposite of Mandalorian, where they have like the real screens and you're like really seeing everything that's there.
That's right. That's the different world, the wide open world, which allows me to have a costume, which puts me in a room where they can put everything, because all the screens are the whole room. So you make whatever you want, and the physical vehicle that I might be traveling on might be plopped in the middle of the room, and I got to imagine everything, but at least I got a costume and I look pretty badass.
Right.
In the other situation, I've got to think like the Mandalorian. I've got to think like Moff Gideon as Anton. I've got to bring all that thinking without having the realization of a breastplate or a cape or anything else. So different styles, but certainly the same amount of commitment.
Right.
You know, and I would say, I venture to say, even more commitment in the world in which we shoot our motion capture.
Well, I got to ask you about Mandalorian because I did a lot of those panels and I didn't really get to talk to you because your character was so under wraps. But now we know kind of what his deal is. So I have to know your reaction when you found out you were going to be wielding the Darksaber and what it looks like on set, because it was one of the most badass shots I've ever seen.
I have to say it's such an honor. You know, very few have wielded that saber. It just was really wonderful to be in the organic version of this story. Jon Favreau asked me to do it. I was head over heels. He mentioned that he had written it for me. I went and started to look at old moths. What's a moth? You know, I went back and looked at Peter Cushing was a moth. You know, what do they do? Who are they? And then was really present in conversations with Jon about his imperial status, his carryover from the Empire, how moths operate and why possibly, leaving room, it's always possibly, why he might be the moth to take everything over. How does he know everything? There were a bunch of questions. And so, which some of them got answered and many of them not, because he's still trying to find that out. So to be in the position of having that kind of regal, graceful power, but have this saber, which delineates a different part of me than any other character. Mm-hmm. To have this saber means I can use it and I can do my own dirty work, that I'm a fighter, that I'm a warrior, that's part of me. Also creates the possibility of that he is you know, one of the ones, you know, like he possibly has that. And that to me is interesting, because is he really that fallen hero? Is he, you know, is he a descendant of Darth Vader? Who is he? What does he want? Mm-hmm. He knows all about everything, and you'll have to wait to find out. Yeah. And he's actually pretty good with that Darksaber too.
Okay, there's a lot of setup for season 2 I'm very excited about. My other question for you regarding that is, when you found out that his whole drive in the first season was just to go after this adorable little baby Yoda, like what did you think? Because he just took over the world when everyone found him.
Look, you know, being on the set with this baby, we've all, as cast members, Werner and myself and Pedro, have all said some different things about this very, very irresistible Yoda. I knew the first time I saw him, he's going to be the star of the show. I was like, I just reminded myself, do your part, play nicely in the sandbox, because it's the cutest baby ever. I got to be honest with you, and rightfully so. And I know that they went through great pains to figure out what that baby would be physically, how it would be, what it would be, and they touched it down. They touched down in the right place. So to be tied to this baby is great. Just don't let me catch you in season 2.
I know, you better not hurt him. You better not hurt him.
But you never know. I just want to spend all my time with him. So as close as I can get, I will get. And believe me, I'm good at getting close.
Well, you are one of the busiest actors. You do so many roles that people just adore and cling to. You kind of checked off a lot of like the nerdy bucket list. Like, do you have a dream role? I know a lot of times like you pop up in these Marvel rumor conversations. Do you have a dream role that you want to tackle next?
Well, there's been all these rumors about being with Marvel. I want to work with those guys. I put it out there all the time. I haven't created any, I haven't created any of those rumors, but I worked years ago with Louis D. Esposito, who's one of the guys at Marvel back when he was doing Cotton Club and I was doing Cotton Club. He was the first AD. What they do is fantastic. I want to do something enduring with them. And I know that for me, historical dramas are really great. There's so many different characters who were mixed race. Pushkin, I'd love to play. I think the Marvel world would be likely the next step for me. And then I would step back into playing some characters I think that really did change the world through their actions. And that it really didn't matter what color they were, and that they were mixed breeds or past in our world, that would address some of the concerns about us championing championing one movement or one people without championing another. You know, to understand that we're all human again is, I think, where we're about to get to. And thankfully, I'd like to be able to really play characters who start to extend that in our world and honor that. So many, I mean, like Toussaint Louverture, wouldn't play him, he's a little darker than I, but a freedom fighter. There's so many people who were about all people. And so, yeah, I have my wish list still, and I'll still look to do that. But I'm really honored to be a part of this Far Cry 6, because I feel like these games are becoming iconic in many ways and allow us to think differently. And I'm so very honored to be a part of Mandalorian. It was like I had to really pinch myself. And also because of the respect and with the way these people work, they ask you to collaborate. And so you're really not looking at, your ego anymore. You're looking at what forwards and propels the story in a direction that we can all relate to. And Disney Plus is a platform that allows a family to come together again and watch this heroic movement in entertainment together. And so that sort of changes the game, because it focuses your attention on your ideals, your morals, making the right decision, simpler to deal with than having it be driven by sex, drugs, and rock and roll. It's deeper than that, really. Simpler than that, but deeper than that. Where do we belong? Where should we be? What's the next step for all of us as a humanity?
Well, that is a fantastic note to end on. It was so great talking to you. And I have to mention real quick that I love that Harley Quinn show, and it better come back for another season because it's so good.
So good too. You're all over it, man.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. You asked great questions.